Now in today's video, I have some opinions to give about the League One table and you're going to sit back and listen to them. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. There's no real structure to today's video, but we are now 6-7 games in for a lot of the teams and I feel like the table's slowly starting to take shape, and I've done a little bit of League One content, but I want to start doing more because I really enjoy talking about League One. There's a lot of big clubs in this division as well, so obviously that's going to attract new viewers to the channel, which is obviously the most important thing. But we'll start out from the bottom then. Cambridge obviously have only picked up the 1 point so far this season, and I feel like a lot of people expected Cambridge to go down. They've been down and around it over the last couple of seasons, and I think this season was going to be the year where they would finally drop, and obviously it has been a really poor start. They've been playing a lot of possession-based football under Gary Monk, and obviously that's kind of telling by their results. Shrewsbury, again, in a similar sort of position where a lot of people thought they'd go down this season, and they are currently sat near them relegation places. I think they beat Leyton Orient 3-0 at home. Apart from that, they've been pretty poor. In a lot of their games, they've obviously lost their last 3, similar to Cambridge, and I would expect them to be down and around there this season. Burton, I don't think it's too surprising. Maybe the fact they've not won a game yet after 6 matches, but they have drawn 4 of them. They've conceded 10 goals and only scored the 8 though, which isn't amazing. And I feel like Burton were always going to be a bit of a slow burner. They had, about 30 signings in the summer, so it's no real surprise that they have started out a bit shakily. Same can be said about Rotherham United. Again, they signed a load of players, but quite early on I thought they'd do a little bit better than what they are currently doing. I think a lot of people maybe overestimating them, but they had to do a lot of business this summer because they were terrible last season. I think they were always going to be a bit of a slow burner, but they picked up 2 points out of their last possible 9. That's not amazing. So a little bit of a concern for me at Rotherham. If there's any Rotherham fans watching, how long would you give Steve Evans to turn this around before you maybe think about changing manager once again? Leyton Orient are finally starting to pull their strings, back-to-back wins. I think Richie Wellens is one of the best and most underrated managers in the division. The things that he's got Leyton Orient playing in the style of football with the resources he's had, they had a really tough start to the campaign as well. I think they're going to be fine at this season. Bristol Rovers under Matt Taylor, I'm not too convinced by. In all honesty, I do think they are struggling a little bit. Clearly, they've lost 4 of their last 5, only won 2 out of their first 7 all season, and only scored 6 goals as well. So a little bit of a concern for me, losing at their last 3 league games. Bristol Rovers fans, let me know down below. Again, similar to Rotherham with Steve Evans, how long do you give Matt Taylor to turn it around? Because obviously he wasn't particularly good with them last season. Bolton finally won their first match, I think, since the opening day of the season, and it's because they played Victor Adebayo. Callum Fowler made a really good point about Bolton, and for those who haven't seen it, you've sometimes got to play a big lad to get out of this division. You know, the likes of Collins, Charles, McAtee, far too similar. Adebayo, while out of the 4 of them, he's probably the worst finisher in front of goal. What he brings to the team and the hold-up play is so important. They obviously stuck 5 past Reading at the weekend, and finally it seems to have clicked into gear. But it's again, can they do that on a more consistent basis? Because in 18th at the moment, that's obviously not where they want to be. Crawley had a great start, but then their last 4 matches have been really poor. Just 1 point picked up out of their last possible 12 available after back-to-back wins to start the season. I do think Crawley might struggle this campaign, and obviously if Scott Lindsay goes to MK Dons, that would basically guarantee their relegation. But as for now, I think they definitely need to pick up a win in their next 3 matches, or they could really start sliding down that table, because there's not that many points between 21st and 11th. There's only 3 points there. So League One is obviously going to be a very close division this season. Reading are a club that I don't really know too much about, in all honesty. Since their relegation from the Championship, they've not been a club that I've kept my eye on all too much, but they seem to be in for another mid-table season. Obviously conceded 5 at the weekend to Bolton. Stevenage are a bit of a weird side because they battered Barnsley 3-0 and then they went and lost to Exeter at the weekend, so I'm sure they were pretty frustrated by that. I think they're going to be in and around mid-table this season. Not really a lot to say about Stevenage apart from Jake Young seems to be stinking up the gaff a little bit. Wigan have had some very inconsistent form, and that's why they find themselves in and around mid-table at the moment. You look at the last 5 matches, 2 wins, 2 defeats and a draw. Very mid-table, and that's where you would expect them to finish come the end of the season. Blackpool, they've recently picked up form. 8 points out of their last possible 12 available is not awful, but they hadn't picked up a point before that, so I guess that is kind of telling. If you are enjoying today's video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. 50 likes would be massively appreciated. Northampton, they've had a pretty solid start to the campaign as well under John Brady. Very good and underrated manager. They lost a few of their better players in the summer, whether that be on loan or permanent. The likes of obviously Mark Leonard being the main one, as his loan finally did expire with them. He'd been there for a couple of seasons, but I think they're going to be fine this season under John Brady. Exeter have had a very mixed start to the season. 3 wins, 3 defeats, no draws so far. 2 wins out of their last possible 3 matches, so I think on the whole they're probably going to be fine this season. I thought they'd maybe slide down towards 17th, 20th sort of place in the table, but right now they are doing very well. Peterborough slowly starting to hit form a little bit, but again 10 points picked up out of their last possible 15. It's good form Is it enough though to get you promoted over a full season? I'm not so sure. Again though, they did a lot of transfer business, and obviously it is basically a brand new defence for them. Wycombe have been brilliant over the last couple of matches after not an amazing start to the season. 10 points picked up out of their last possible 12, and I didn't see Wycombe challenging for the playoffs this season, but as of right now they certainly are in and around it. Mansfield Town have obviously had a brilliant start to the season. On paper they have had some pretty easy fixtures, the likes of Shrewsbury and Cambridge at home in their last couple of matches. The only time that I think they've really been tested this season, apart from maybe on the opening day against Barnsley where they did really well, was against Lincoln where they got absolutely pumped. I could be wrong there. Obviously Bradford beat them in the AFL Trophy not too long ago, I think a week ago today, and again it was a largely rotated side there. But I think Mansfield, they're going to be fine this season, but with their injuries, I've got a few concerns maybe in the long term for Mansfield when they start playing some of the harder fixtures and they go on a 3-4 game losing run, for example. How do they go on and bounce back from that? Stockport had an amazing start to the season, but recently have kind of curtailed a little bit. Just 2 points picked up out of their last possible 9, but I'm sure they would have taken 7th place after 6 matches, and they'll definitely take 7th come the end of the season at the start of the season, if that does make sense. Lincoln, I think they're going to be fine this season. I predicted them to finish in the playoffs. They are currently occupying at that final playoff spot. 8 points picked up out of their last possible 12. Very good defensively, only 6 goals conceded so far this season. I do think though they need to start scoring a few more as well. Huddersfield, unfortunately, as a Bradford City fan, have had a pretty positive start to the season. We're thankfully dumped and trumped and thumped by Northampton at the weekend, 3-0 at home. That own goal that they scored, I don't know who scored the own goal, but they're playing out from the back nonsense that they were trying to do, and obviously they just kicked the ball into their own net. Beautiful to see as a Bradford City fan, and I hope Huddersfield go bust. Charlton had a really good start to the season. Recently only picked up 1 win in their last 4 matches. At the weekend they made loads of changes. I think they played against Blackpool and Nathan Jones just got that one completely wrong. I do plan on making a video about Charlton later on down the line, just them specifically, and I just want to see where they're actually going to be at the moment, because right now they are seeming to be a little bit inconsistent. Barnsley have started to hit form a little bit as well, so brilliant for them. I think they'll be in and around it this season, especially now that they've got some of their better attacking players in through the door on transfer deadline day, especially Davis Keeler-Dunn. I do certainly see Barnsley being a top 6 challenger this campaign. And then the last 2 teams, the Battle of Hollywood or whatever it was the other week. Birmingham, they've been absolutely brilliant so far this season. They've won their last 5 league games, as you would expect. They spent 30 million quid in the summer. Not really a lot to say in all honesty. They've won 5 of their first 6 matches. They've scored 13 goals, which surprisingly isn't the most in the division. Wrexham have scored the most, but I guess Wrexham have played a game more. I think their only defeat of the season was against Birmingham. Obviously they're both level on points at the moment. Wrexham having played a game more. Both of them 2 clubs have had an amazing start to the season. Birmingham, as you would expect. Wrexham, maybe not so. I saw Wrexham being in and around mid-table, maybe challenging for the playoffs this season, but to be top of the league after 7 matches, their fans must be over the moon. And when you factor in as well for Wrexham, it took them I think 3 seasons since the takeover to actually get promoted into League 2, to then go back to back and potentially go back to back to back is absolutely bonkers. But they've had an absolutely amazing start to the season, obviously. So have Birmingham as well. I think I'm right in saying that no manager in League 1 has been sacked as of right now. Obviously we could maybe see the likes of Scott Lindsay move to MK Dons for compensation, but in terms of the first manager to be sacked, I don't think it's really too bold for me to predict Cambridge United with Gary Monk. I don't think the possession-based style really suits them. I think the fan kind of connection with Paul Hurst at Shrewsbury is going to keep him in a job for a bit longer, and we knew teams like Burton, Rotherham were going to be slow burners this season. Maybe Matt Taylor as well, to be fair. I could certainly see him going soon at Bristol Rovers, but on the whole for me, obviously Wrexham have had the best start to the season, and obviously Cambridge have had the worst. But we do have a few underachievers at the moment, the likes of Rotherham, Bolton obviously the biggest underachiever at the moment, but there are certainly a few teams overperforming. Northampton, Exeter I think have had a really good start to the campaign, Mansfield as well, but I do think they have had favourable fixtures on the whole, especially recently where they have picked up 7 points out of their last 9. But thank you all so much for watching today's video. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. 50 likes would be massively appreciated. And if you want to see further League 1 content, let me know down below.